Boom. Now we got sound. And we live. And we up. We ready. I'm about to hit this thing one time for y'all real quick. So put up the same live link I put up at Airtime. Control copy. I just don't understand how this works anymore. See, video manager. Can't do nothing when we rolling. Rolling, rolling, rolling. Something, something rolling right. He's so gay. Dingy man. Dingy superhero. Dingy meta. Laba 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 twigway. I love J-pop. K-pop, not so much. I think it's just because the Koreans are so tall on average. Alright. There's the live link. Oh. Accidentally clicked on it. Accidentally clicked on you. Accidentally clicked it. Y'all homies sick with it. I guess that'll work. Alright, so these boys are in here building a computer. They may slide through later to actually be on this very special, very live episode of the Erraticast. Courtesy of Hard Erratica. That's fb.me/HARDERRATICA. Hard Erratica. We got stickers. I got some paraphernalia for you. If you want, you can check that out at Fake Depth on Facebook. I got all these pages in so little time. You feel me, homie? I'm trying to publish this link so that people can see that we're actually here live, and that picture is deceptive. Basically, it ain't the right picture. So first I need to share all this to the appropriate places. Let's see, Erraticast, Hard Erratica. I'm gonna cross-post stuff. I think that's just published videos. Let's see. This is the live link. When the show is over, we will be replacing it with tonight's show link. Post. Boom. Alright, so we're going to be starting at 9:30. We're live, but we haven't started yet. So if you give me a few minutes, I will spool up some interesting content, and then we will get ready to kick that mad flavor in your ear. I'm kicking new flavor in your ear, kicking new flavor in your ear. I'm kicking new flavor in your ear. Here comes new flavor in your ear. I also gotta share it to my main page. So, I mean, you guys got like 2 minutes to just do nothing or do whatever. She's gone country. Share on my timeline. Live from at Motte Sons. We may have a Jaffer. And they're building a computer. Alright, now let me make sure that everybody is on with us. I got you guys. Are you live? Are you here with me? Can you see me? Holler at your boy in the chat room. I'm always ready to talk to you or anybody else who wants to talk for that matter. Just let me know. I will be on the computer answering your questions and anything that you may have to say in the chat room. Here's the case for my fancy microphone that I'm using, the Samson Go mic. It's come in handy. I bought it originally as a mic to do some recording, but one day I actually did record it. The first night I had it, I recorded the song that you can hear today on SoundCloud if you can find it. I can't find it, but it's pretty good. I've gotten, I wouldn't say rave reviews, but people like it. People liked it, to my surprise. I was quite shocked. It's called That Kinda Nicka, and it's a pretty good song. It's very avant-garde, I guess. I don't know what avant-garde means. It's just a word I like to use that sounds fancy. What can I say? I'm a man of a million voices. So, it's 9:30. It's time to start the show. Welcome to the Erraticast. Thanks to Matt Mott and Motte Sons for letting us use their facilities as a backdrop for today's show. That's the reason it took so long, is because I came here and I was distracted by them building a computer because I'm into that techie shit. We actually have something cool coming out here pretty soon, but it's not around yet, and I don't want to drop the name too fast. So for now, I'm just gonna let you know that something's coming. You can look out for that. It'll be on all the pages. Today, I want to talk to a topic that's very near and dear to my heart. A very fear-fraught and deep, introspective kind of look at things that I've been through over time. Like, it's not going to be super long and drawn out. I'll tell you some stories, talk about some people, talk about some things that I've gone through recently and things that I've discovered. But today we're going to talk to some of you guys out there. I know a lot of you guys, much like myself, need a little help when it comes to the romance and, the women. I mean, and probably some of this is good if you like men too. You know what I'm saying? If you're into girls or guys or whatever your flavor is, it doesn't matter, because people kind of work the same way. This dog is mad at me. He's probably going to start barking. He hates the sound of my voice, but he's gigantic. He's made like a horse. This guy's name is Jaeger, which is short for Jägermeister. I don't know if they call him the whole thing, but he likes to push on the door and make it ring. I need to find my water. Whoa! Freaking me out, man. I just want my drink. You're scared. That solo is by Jaeger, the dog. Jaeger dog. Alright, I had to get my water since I'm about to start talking about a very long, drawn-out kind of affair. Okay, so I'm gonna try to keep things, on an even. I don't wanna say names or anything, but I also don't want to be like on the secretive tip, because that's not what I'm about. I'm about trying to be frank with you and open, and since you tuned into the show, it's the least I can do for you. I owe you that much. So let me start with about 20 years ago. About 20 years ago, I was 14. I was going to Christian school, and I was always kind of socially awkward. I was never really good with people. I wasn't good with talking to people or talking in front of crowds. I remember back then I'd practiced this monologue for a competition that we went to in, like, somewhere in North Carolina, I believe. I practiced this monologue for months, not just a couple of days, not a week or two. It's like my teacher, Miss Jolene, saw something in me, and she was always like, pushing me. She pushed me, and she didn't push me too hard in some places, and then other places she just got kind of upset with me, which is like kind of a theme in my life. People are either like really about me or they get upset with me. Only the people close to me. But that's like an interpersonal issue that I'll touch on later. But she had me study and practice this monologue for months. I want to say it was 2 months, and we ran through it backwards and forwards. I knew it, and I knew it, and I could have performed it. I can't perform it now. I just remember the parts. Baby brother's on the roof. Ma, hey ma. It was pretty good. I wish I knew the title because I would find it. But I was up there, and it was my turn to do my monologue because they would have us go in individually in front of these students. And when it came up my turn, I was hyped. I was ready. And as soon as I got in there, I stood in front of all the people. They were looking, waiting. And, I choked, man. I cried. I just cried like a big baby. And from that point on, I knew that I had to do something about the stage fright. So I eventually overcame my stage fright. I'd been in some plays. I've been in a few shows of various, and had roles of like various intensity. Yeah, never been the lead guy, but it's like they say, there are no small parts, only small actors. And I'm a pretty big actor. I mean, look at me. I'm not a tiny guy. So after that, I'd reached a place where I'd overcome stage fright to a degree. And eventually college came around. And in college, I had a public speaking class. And we had to do a debate. And I didn't study much. Everybody's like, oh, you're smart. We're going to pit you against the Japanese girl. And we're going to give you the opposing view. Like, I had to talk about how animal testing and was okay. I was the opposing view of animal testing. But typically, I'm always on the side of the quote-unquote right. So that was a challenge for me. I didn't bomb it, but I didn't do as well as I'd hoped. But people were like, you did a pretty good job. I was like, all right, especially for not doing my due diligence the way I should have. But other than that, everything was fine. Like, I learned that I could speak in front of people. I learned techniques that allowed me to be able to get up in front of a group of people and speak to them. I practiced them off and on, kind of, but there was a thing, like, I could talk to groups of people, but I could never talk to somebody individually. I couldn't do it one-on-one, as it were. And flash forward, and all through college, all through my young adult life, and all the way up until about maybe 2 years ago, I could never talk to people like one-on-one unless it was just like they knew somebody or somebody knew, and like they were, and we ended up talking as a matter of course. But talking to a stranger, meeting somebody I didn't know, that was definitely out of the question. It didn't matter what or who. And over the course of this time, I think right around the time I went to school again in Charlotte, I hadn't learned any skills pertaining to talking to people one-on-one, but I had learned about what's called PUA, or pickup artists. And a lot of that material I discovered when I was like in my early teens, just like in forums on the internet, in places where you would at least suspect like a 12-year-old to be. And I looked onto that for a time, and then around the time when I was like 19, 20, I kind of discovered, like, I ran into other people who did the same thing. And on one hand, they were very successful in places I wasn't, but on the other hand, they were also, they weren't what you would call virtuous people. They were like the ends justifies the means types. they were the types of people who, and I hate to say they are the people this guy is, because it's not like that. Everybody's human. I have my pratfalls. I make my mistakes. Everybody does this and that, but I'm always trying to improve myself, and I would like to think the same for them. I'd like to think that everybody's doing their best to improve who they are. So it's not like I'm ragging on them, but these are just things I've seen in them at the time that I reflect on in myself for the most part. They were, less than virtuous. They would kind of be abusive to their girlfriends, like physically. Like, I remember one time a dude was carrying his girl around the house, and then he just drops her on a fan, and he laughed about it. Like, and I feel like he was just doing that to show me that my virtue didn't matter, because he was very much the kind of guy who was competitive. He was very competitive. He wasn't a bad guy. He wasn't a jerk, but he was just he was a homeschooled kid. He was kind of spoiled, which is fine. I don't judge anybody, but especially based on like societal standards. But he was one of the first people that I'd seen that these strategies worked for. So I was like, maybe I should reevaluate this, because I'd always approached it from a place where I wanted to be able to do this, that, and that, but at the same time, I didn't want to dispose of myself a part that was more virtuous. That, I guess, virtue is the word that I keep using, but I didn't want to do anything that made me violate myself. And there are times where I've done that, but I don't continue to do it. I wanted to be able to sleep at night. I wanted to be able to look at myself in the mirror, and I'm gonna get to something about that too in a bit, but just want to be able to look at myself in the mirror and be proud of who I was, and for others to be proud of me too. Now, here's the thing. This whole pickup artist thing, it was kind of underground when I discovered it, but with the inception of a show called The Pickup Artist and the book, The Game, all that jazz, like I heard about Neil Strauss, aka Style, way back when, because I was a member of numerous mailing lists about this subject. I wanted to learn to talk to girls because I was afraid. My brother-in-law, my sister's husband, had a brother, God rest his soul, and he was somebody who I think was pivotal to me learning about being social. It wasn't on pickup stuff, but he was kind of like, he would make friends. He would, go visit girls, see girls, hang out with his people, come back late. And, like, my mom was always giving him a hard time, but he was always cool with me. Like, he was like a brother. It was like somebody, I'd never had somebody who was like a brother figure in my life. And I think it was good for me, because he kind of got me to come out of my shell. He showed me, he's the one that introduced me to hip hop as as a means of expression. He introduced me to Wu-Tang Clan, and like we would talk. Like, he was one of the few people who would talk to me like a person, not like a child. He talked to me like somebody reasonable, and I will forever be grateful for that, because that became part of who I am. Like, he's just one of a handful of male figures that were in my life who helped me out in a big way. So, for what it's worth, thank you. And I've made numerous other friends and met cool people throughout my life, and I think he was a good start. It was a good start that he was able to impart knowledge. Because I told my mom when I was like, thanks to him, I was able to make friends and talk to people, and it was exciting. I just remember that way back when I was at Westgate Christian School. What a great place. But let me tell you, like, learning the pickup arts would have been nothing if not for that, because those are the basic social skills that people who seek out that type of education don't have. They don't know how to talk to people. They probably don't know how to talk to themselves. through that, I've come to learn a lot about self help. I listen to Tony Robbins. I listen to a bunch of other guys whose names escape me right now. And I constantly listen to self help and motivational tapes. And it's been leading me up to just this notion that it's always best to be as honest as you possibly can at any given time with people, like emotionally and intellectually. So, oh, look, it's Hope. Hey, Hope. Welcome to the show. She's kind of like my technical advisor. So, yeah, learning all this pickup stuff has led me to be able to talk to people in a way that's not alienating and it doesn't push them away or anything. And I want to be able to take that spirit and pass it on to anybody else who needs help. And I'm going to give away like a huge nugget right now, and it may not make too much sense, but if you really want a girl to know something, unless you have this kind of like relationship where you're texting all the time, she's texting you back, it's probably better to tell her things in person. Like, that's my thing now. And I didn't get this a long time ago, but you know, if you want to if you want to tell a girl that you're trying to put the jelly in her donut, it's better to say that than to pretend that your intentions are innocent and no, it's like, because unless you're looking for friendship, don't act like you want to just be friends, because that's how you get in the friend zone. It's not a matter of, oh, she didn't like me. It's you presented yourself as a friend, so that's where you're going to be, because women compartmentalize. They don't just they're not like us. I mean, they're like us, but they're not like us. Like, the PUA thing will teach you a lot about psychology, and psychology as a whole was something that I was always interested in. So that was really the aspect that I took and ran with. It wasn't like about getting laid for me. Like, to one extent it was, and I tested it out and it worked. But ever since then, like, when that happened, like, me and this girl already had a connection anyway, but after it happened, I fell into a mighty depressive funk for a long time, because I wasn't aware of where these quote unquote tactics ended and where like the real me and the acceptance of who I am began. And that's really an insecurity that I think everybody has, but especially among these groups of people that comes up a lot, because you don't know, like you start to think that things have been set in a certain way. Like I don't really know what else to call it, but I just know for a fact that you have to do a lot of inside work too. Like, they give you a lot of external stuff you can do. Like, martial arts is comprised of two schools, right? Martial arts, there's internal martial arts or internal kung fu, and external martial arts or kung fu. External is just the techniques, like throwing a roundhouse or like a punch combination. But the internal is like the breathing, the thought behind it, your intention. It's like focus. And all those things, and I think internal and external have to work together, but it can be approached from either way to make an effective system. But you can't throw out one you can't throw out the external portion and work on purely internal, because you'll be unbalanced somewhere. You have to balance them both out. And with picking up women, it's just like, if you're just doing technique, boom, 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 you're getting results, but you're not able to keep the woman. You're not able to, make things cool after something happens, because you haven't worked on yourself. And they call that inner game. And inner game is so important. Okay. Oh, hey, Hope's sending me something. Let's see. She says, have you ever had a girl say, I'm not looking for a relationship, I'm never getting married, etc. That equals, I don't want these things with you. I hate when that happens. So friend, let's see, what did it say? I got bumped off. Hold on. Let me get back to her comment. So friendship zone means that's all they want from you. Yeah, it's kind of like that. And that's the reason being direct is so important, is because if you gotta work with people at their level, and you gotta understand what people desire and what you desire, and you have to present that in the front, because anything else I think is deception. And all deception is self-deception, and that can work for you in a wartime situation, but when it comes to mating and relating, dating, and just being who we are, you got to be upfront with people. And that's my thing. Like, if you want to play games and be sideways, if that works for you, that's fine, but I don't believe in it personally. So, but yeah, and you bring up a good point, Hope, because women are generally pretty honest, but sometimes women will say that they're not looking for that at the time, because they may not be looking for that for anybody, with anybody, at any given time. But we all know for a fact, or at least the people who study the material I study and do the things that I do, know that sometimes women tend to be very present in the moment generally, so they're expressing their feelings at the time. That's not to say that things can't ever change, but when you present what you present up front, and you're 100% real with it, then you'll both have an understanding of where things are going. And I was talking to a girl the other day, and she was like, how did that come up? Because I said something to the effect of, I completely lost my train of thought now. But it was just, you got to be genuine, man. You got to be 100. And keeping it real is what it's about, because I've learned that keeping it real has gotten me farther than any of my best laid plans have ever gotten me. And the thing is, like, what took me maybe years to do with one girl probably could have been quickened up had I just been up front with her from the jump. And that's the hardest thing that I've had to overcome personally, is just being able to tell a woman that I want her, or tell somebody that, I'm trying to do this with you. And it's just like social programming, fear and apprehension are what sets that up. And I mean, it's probably for another show altogether, but there's a lot of social programming that goes into how we form our relationships too. And those are things that are taught to us from the beginning. Like, maybe we had a parental structure that comes from a strong religious background, Christian, Muslim, Hindu, what have you. And there's nothing wrong with that, but sometimes I think the idea of virtue gets skewed, and that people don't quite understand to what ends they're having somebody conform to something. Let's see. Did you give advice? You met Will. He told me a very long time ago he's never getting married again, which I, of course, interpreted it as he won't marry me. Am I right or wrong? I can't say that he's probably just not ready to get married to anyone at the time. Like, I think that's a place where men and women tend to differ, is that I think generally guys, if we're spending time with you, if we're just like kicking it with you, we're kicking it with you, and we're not taking the time to do anything else, because unless it's just like he's got some issue where he needs to boost his ego and run around with a whole bunch of chicks, which I don't think, like, if that was the guy that you were in the coffee shop with, from the looks of him, I don't think he's like that. He seemed to be very, very much about what he's about. So it's probably just a matter of time. But like, a lot of guys just don't want to get married because marriage doesn't really benefit men at all. And that's another topic for another show, which hopefully my guest next week. Yeah, so you should be good, because that's you guys' relationship, and eventually he'll probably marry you. I know my homeboy he was dating this woman that she didn't want to get married, and when they met, he didn't want to get married either, but they'd been together for almost I want to say close to 15 years. And when it came down to it, I think ultimately what he really wanted was to get married, and because he eventually changed his mind and he had to leave her and date somebody else, and now he's married. So, I think people in general, but guys especially, because I can speak on being a man. I know what that's like. Dudes just kind of want to do what they do until it's time to do something else. Be it make that next step or step out. So that's my thing. So I mean, I hope that helps. That's like the best thing I can come up with off the top of my head. But I'm just like some of my best successes have been okay. So let me tell you about the direct method, because I came into PUA through what's called the indirect method, by a group of people who are, they were mentioned in the book The Game. I think David X was one of the people mentioned, and he gave Style some advice. And he told Style, he said, "You never lie to a woman ever." He says, "I never lied to a woman except on 2 occasions." But I'm not gonna get into that because it's kind of gross. But he those guys are advocates of what's called direct game, and it's not really game. It's just you being having enough chutzpah to tell a woman exactly what's on your mind, and that's what I'm working on, because I've done years of indirect game. And like when I did finally get brave enough to take that next step, I go out every night. I listen to all these videos and stuff, and I've learned a lot, but it just wasn't getting me the results that I wanted until I ran across or started paying more attention to a guy named Alan Roger Curry, and his Mode 1, I guess Mode 1 doctor. It's trademarked, so that's his thing. But I was riding down the highway one day, and I came up with an idea for what he calls Mode 4, which is being direct, but you're kind of insulting, and you're not getting what you want, but you're being as close to Mode 1 as you can. And somebody called it red pill. It's referred to as red pill rage, being Mode 1. I thought I'd come up with something pretty clever. And I think what it was just like, I called it white knight rage, because you know how the dichotomy of a white knight is typically somebody on a message board finds out that somebody's a woman. So this guy starts, insulting the girl or taking out his rage on her, and then this white knight shows up to defend this woman's chastity or what have you. And then after it's done, he's all like, "Hey girl, so it's kind of cool what I did back there for you." And like, comes with some expectations. He's trying to hook up with her, but like, white knights never get laid. So I call it white knight rage, and I've done that. I've been there. I've lived through these things, and they're not my proudest moments, but I think those are the things that have pushed me toward being more genuine with people in general. Like nowadays, I've done tests, but nowadays, when I like a woman, I tell her. When I find a woman attractive, I'm like, "You're attractive." There are still women that kind of make me quake in my boots. I'm not gonna lie, but there are also women who I've confessed my love or eros for, and they're cool chicks, man. They're not like, and years ago, I never saw myself being able to do any of that. I've never seen myself as an attractive person. But recently, I've been able to get myself to a place where I see myself as the person that I ought to be. I see myself as somebody I love. And I think that's partially because of the medication that I take, what you would consider a mentally ill person. But I'm also mentally ill in the hip hop definition, because I be coming off the top with some shit that's mighty hot. I don't play no games with dames, because dames is all I got. You feel me? You never told me I was attractive. That's funny. You are, though. You're a cool person. Like, there aren't too many people that I run into, and when I say attractive, I mean on various levels. But I knew you were there with a guy, you feel me? So I wasn't gonna be all like, but no, you're a cool person, Hope. I think that was like we connected on a deeper level in a short amount of time because you're just passing through. So I think that's dope, and that's because of who you are. So me, I'm just out here trucking around because I started going out every night, and it was when I started going out every night is when things started to change. I have a friend who's a DJ. I'm gonna go see him tonight at Shakers. So if you're watching this and you're in the area, go holler at your boy DJ Nuvo, and he would let me come chill, man. And I did that for about a year. So I've been going out for about a year. I've been going out every night. It wasn't recently until I started working at the co-op that I've not been going out as much, but I make it a point to at least go out to Shakers because I love that place. It's homey, it's chill. People don't mess with me too much, and the people that are there act like they know me. And acting like you know people is very important because it makes them feel good and makes them feel important. But I've met over the course of the time going out, I've met and made connections with a lot of people and a lot of cool people, a lot of good-looking girls, man. Some of them in various states of relationship. So, and it's all because of the way that I've handled myself through the scope of my learning. And I think that I can help other people do that too if so need. And that's what this show is about tonight. Because I wanted to give guys some advice about talking to women that I think everybody can use. You know what I'm saying? And there's some people here who can give some advice as well. But I'm just going to start out by saying, like, in the initial meeting, all you got to do is say hi. Because the worst thing that can happen to you is they can either ignore you or, you get flat out rejected. But the people typically don't reject you if you're like, hey, how you doing? Like, the worst thing that can happen to you is getting ignored. And you know what you do if somebody ignores you or rejects you flat out? Just be like, call me. Don't flip out. Don't be like, well, you're such a bitch, That's not good. It's not healthy. It's not good for people. It's not good for you. Because you don't want to harbor negativity. Harbor negativity is like people have the ability to know and experience what other people are feeling. Like, I think that's part of, like, there's some, okay, I'm going to get fringy here for a second. There's some supernatural aspects I believe that human beings have as far as perception. So let's say, like, you know how you'll be in a room and, like, somebody will be real mad and you'll be like, hey guys, and somebody will be like, hey, and like we know that, and I make it seem more woo woo than it is, but we just have these natural abilities to see what's going on at any given time because evolutionarily we have developed these keen senses because we don't have claws, we don't have like razor sharp, bone hard teeth. Well, we don't have like teeth like animals. We don't have these other crazy senses and abilities. We have to compete with those things. We have predators that we have to deal with. And even still, the greatest predator is the human predator because we have this sense of slyness, this ability to be able to not be detected in certain ways, but we also have the ability to feel certain types of emotions, certain types of, I guess, physical, mental pressure. Like, if somebody really, really despises you, and even, like, the Japanese have a word for it, I think it's sake, not sake like the drink. I'm sure they sell it here at Motte Sons, but sake, which is murderous or killer intent. And if somebody's gunning for you, you can feel that. And it's crazy how that works because I've experienced in my own life. There's a nice lady who works at who's at the co-op, and she's always trying to sneak up on me. It's the craziest thing, but like she's so quiet. Like I don't hear her. But at some point I kind of like feel feel the energy of her intention. But I think it's just because like she suppresses it when she comes through, because I'll hear the door open and I'll look back, I won't see anything because the way my studio is set up is I can't really see anything past the door. But she'll come up and I'll look back and there she is. She's like, I'm gonna sneak up on you one day. But it's just something like it's hard to explain a feeling, but feelings happen. And that's really how we navigate through life. It's just kind of how things get done, you know? And I'm cool with that. I love a challenge. I like challenges. But in the giving of advice when it comes to talking to women, apparently you should always talk on the phone. You shouldn't text too often. You should speak in person as much as possible and just be real. Like, I discovered the whole being real thing when I discovered Alan Roger Curry on the website puahate.com. puahate.com caught a lot of flack because of this Elliot Rodger thing. Elliot Rodger was a toxic masculine male. There's like a whole topic about this, and I think we'll touch on it next week when I have my guest in. He's going to be a surprise guest. But we're going to talk about some interesting things in contrast to what I'm talking about today. And what he did was he killed about 6 people because he couldn't get girls to like him. And I think his problem was that he expected, just because his father was and I think his mother too were Hollywood, like big Hollywood bigwigs, and that he drove a BMW, he thought he was the hotness, and it really wasn't so, because he was just, by all accounts, kind of a horrible person. Like, you could tell from his manifesto. But after that, it's called the Isla Vista shootings. Like, he ended up killing himself after a police chase. And he became the poster boy for, like, blue pill rage, or what they call he being terminal beta disease. Like, in PUA, there are these ideas of alpha and beta males, and I think it's too cut and dry to be a usable concept for life. But in the explanation of the things that go on in biological processes, it's a good comparison, because, like, in the animal kingdom, the alpha male gets to breed with all the women. It gets the choice stuff. He's the one that everybody looks to for protection, this, that, and the third. And the beta males are the second tier guys who always get friend zoned, who never get to, they only get to breed if it's one of those times where, like, they get to breed with the beta females or worse. And it's an ugly way to explain reality, but it's very good for simplification. So, beta males tend to, if they're beta males too much or too long, or they don't understand how things work, they end up flipping out. And this guy flipped out to the point where he killed people. So, they found that he was a constant poster on puahate.com, which is a website I discovered many years before this happened. I want to say it was like 4 years before, because I started watching, what's the name of that show? Some anime about the rubber kid. You know that one. Oh yeah, One Piece. I started One Piece, and it was like 500 episodes in. It took me about a year and a half. It took me about 2 years to catch up. So I let it run, but I discovered PUA Hate, and that's where I discovered Alan Roger Curry. And he was pushing his direct dating program, which was Mode 1. I got the book and I read it, and it opened my eyes. Like, I read a lot of stuff in about 2007. Like, I picked up Pimpin' Ken's Pimpology. Like, they say that if you know something and don't apply it, it's as good as not knowing it. But I know a lot of stuff that I just don't always apply. But there are things I do apply, and the people I applied on, they don't get too upset. But I've been talking for a little minute. I think we ought to try to get somebody else in here to mumble on about the subject. So I'm going to see if somebody wants to talk to us. So you guys sit tight and hold on right there. I'm gonna get my good friend Jaffer here if he's available. If not, then you may have to wait. So I'll be right back, guys. I'll be out here. So, I've been talking for 45 minutes straight. I never saw, I never thought I'd see the day where I'd just be rambling on about the same thing for hours at a time. But I think there's something to this. I think I could do it. I'm gonna be the next public speaker. I'm gonna be sitting in front of seminars talking about, hey, you guys, you know how you can get more better results with women. Talk to them. Tell them what you're really thinking. Nah, because nobody wants to hear that. It's too easy. Like, it's way too easy. And nobody wants to deal with rejection. Rejection is the hardest thing that you're ever going to have to deal with in life. That's what I think. Because rejection makes you question yourself. But it shouldn't. Rejection is usually just somebody's view of externalized reality based on your actions, which may or may not be cogent to your thoughts. But if you're trying too hard, you got too many expectations, you may end up in a world of hurt because you're tying your ego to it. And the best thing to do is just let go of expectation, let go of wanting, and you'll be good. You'll be golden. And I say that because I'm still working on it, but I think I'm getting a little better every day. Let's see, my last rejection, like the first time in my life where I actually celebrated a rejection from a girl was like a month ago. I walked up to this girl at the bar, and hold on, I'm going to get into something crazy too. I walked up to this girl, and I'm like, hey, I think I'm in love with you. And she giggled, and I was like, hey, where you from? She's like, Miami. I was like, oh, no wonder. But I kept asking her questions because I was kind of nervous. I'd never talked to like a genuine 9.5 before. Like, I mean, I have, but never with the intention of trying to talk to her in that kind of way. You know what I'm saying? So, it was a freak show, man. But it worked out. And then she kind of rejected me. She just kind of like gave me the cold shoulder and walked off. But I laughed. I was just like, that is so funny. Because I was just like pelting her with these questions. And I think she just got nervous because you don't ask a complete stranger 50 questions in a row. Like, and of course, I was just doing it to compensate for the fact that I was kind of nervous because I didn't expect things to go over. And then when we get back to expectations aren't bad. They're just not the best idea at any given time. Oh, hey, Hope. What you saying over there? She says, I want to be on the show next time I'm up there. Unless you reject me, of course. No, I wouldn't reject you. You can be on the show anytime. Like, this show is open for anybody who wants to be on it to be on it. Like, I'm just here as a placeholder most of the time. I used to run this show as the Hubcast, and I had a host and like an entire staff, but now I had to start over. So now it's just me, and I'm all you get. So whoop-de-doo. If you want to see somebody else, send them to me. If you think somebody else would be better as a host than me, give me a suggestion. But until then, I'm gonna run this joint, and you're gonna have to look at me the entire time. So you might as well get ready, or just find somebody else's show. But I don't mind. I love you guys. I enjoy doing this for you, and I will keep doing it until it's just like somebody sends me a letter and says stop doing the show, or we'll like murder your kids. A 9.5. Why do men put numbers on women? Okay, so the number system is not. It's just a purely objective way to explain how somebody looks without going into a long description. Like she's 9.5 to me. She might be a 5 to another guy. But when we talk about it without having to say, like, to paint a picture or get a police sketch artist to draw her, this is the best way that we can communicate. And it's not really, the number system's not really for anybody but guys who talk about women like that. And I'm being strictly superficial because I didn't know anything else about her. Our interaction was cut short for whatever reason. Like, the thing is, I think she was eyeballing me later because I saw her looking. So I think it was more or less that she didn't reject me, but I blew her out. I kind of pushed her too far too fast. And I think she just kind of felt apprehensive. But I think I had planted the seed of curiosity. But because, like, my policy is typically, like, if I see somebody I like, I wait until the next time I meet them to introduce myself or to make a move, if you will. And I don't mean like make a move like move her from the venue to outside to the bedroom. I mean make a move like I'm gonna holler at you, you know. Like, that's how we say things where I'm from. It's like I'm trying to holler at this girl. Like, I just tried to holler at her, and I just think I came on too strong, which happens. And this is all about learning how to calibrate, because you gotta learn how to approach people in a way that's not off-putting to them. So you gotta kind of see, like, you take 2 steps forward, maybe take a step or 2 back. Have you ever thought someone was a 10 until they opened their mouth? Nah, I'm really superficial. I'm like, I don't care if the girl's dumb as a box of rocks as long as she looks good. No, I'm just joking. Like, my taste is a girl's got to be pretty smart to get my attention in the first place. And I typically try to extrapolate those values by listening to her talk to other people, looking at her accessories, looking at the way she dresses herself, and, you know, her shoes. Because I'm a dude that's obsessed with women's shoes. I don't wear them. I just like looking at them. And I'm not a fan of flats, but every now and then a girl will be wearing some flat shoes that I find particularly interesting. So there's a lot that you can tell about somebody from looking at them, but there's also a lot that you will never know until you talk to them. And I meet people all the time who are very interesting, but like, I mean, a 10's still a 10, but if what's coming out of her mouth isn't interesting to me, I'm just gonna leave her cold, because I can't deal with that. That's not something I'm into. So you don't give her a number until you've talked to her? I don't really give numbers anyway. Like, if I want to link with her, I'll ask her to give me her number, because, you know, I don't call anybody. I might text, but if you want to talk to me, it's usually going to be through social media, through messages, or, you know, in person. Because I like to meet people I can meet in person, and who are interested in doing things with me. So I'm really terrible at phone games, so if anybody out there knows anything about that, hit me up and give me some pointers. Because I'm just very good at the open. I'm fairly good at the attraction phase, as they call it, but I'm terrible at closing. I'm terrible at the high end of attraction, and I'm terrible at closing. So I'm working on my weaknesses. I hope says I'm making her laugh good, because I'm having a good time, and I hope you are too. So, I don't know, have I covered everything? Let's see, talking to women. Like, apparently closing isn't so terribly difficult, but, like, if you're in a place and you can't move her immediately, you're supposed to get the number, and then you hit her with that phone game, talk to her, see if you can attract her there, get her to come out and meet you, maybe for coffee, or you can go for dinner or something. Like me, another thing that I always liked about this is I'm a cheap bastard. I'm not out here trying to wine and dine women just to try to get something out of them. Like, if I'm gonna buy a woman a meal, it's because I really genuinely want her company and I want her to eat something. It's not because, oh girl, I bought this for you, so now you owe me. I think that's the most crass BS in the world. And, like, with my homies be buying girls drinks for, like, oh, I'm gonna talk to this girl and buy her a drink. I think that's dumb, because what separates you from the rest of the yokels in the club who are hey girl, let me buy you a drink. If you want, if you want something from a woman, you tell her, or you just like get real close to her and whisper in her ear. Just let her know, tell her a little something she might like to hear. You know what I'm saying? Like, and women are funny, cause from what I've seen and discovered, like versus what I've been taught, is that women are not too terribly difficult to turn on. The hard part is putting out the fire. And I feel like there have been times when I've hit that switch, and the fact that I didn't follow through has done me more harm, because it's like men take rejection from being, you know, called out or yelled at, or like if you like go up to a girl and you're like, "Hey girl, what's up?" She's like, "Oh my God, you're so short. What is wrong with you? How dare you try to talk to me," and like embarrasses you publicly. That's how men feel rejection. But a woman feels rejection, I think, when she has made an effort of some sort based on attraction and it's not reciprocated. I feel like women take poor reciprocation or a lack of reciprocation of their when they're trying to holler at you. I think they take it a little harder than we guys do, because on one hand, we're used to that type of rejection, but women tend to be so guarded that when they have to deal with rejection, they just have a harder time with it. So if they feel you're the one that rejected them, they will take it personally. And I've seen that play out in my life. How do you feel about the women coming on to you first? I feel I feel great when a woman comes on to me first, honestly. Like, I feel that ego boost. But I like it, because it's just like, if I'm feeling her and she's feeling me and she comes on to me, then you ain't said nothing but a word. We move on to the next step, because that saves me the trouble of having to open. It saves me the trouble of having to do this and that. But at the same time, like the way I was raised, and I'm still working through some issues, it kind of makes me uncomfortable on another level, because I don't know how to deal with that, because it doesn't happen to me a lot, or at least not that I notice. Because that's the other thing I want to get into, and that was the point because I was bringing up the whole rejection thing. I heard this and I believe it. Women, you're too subtle. When you're hitting on a guy, or when you tell a dude that you're feeling him, unless you're like, if you're not saying it, or even sometimes when you're saying it, it's just like, women are so subtle, and we guys, we can't tell. Like, men, when we give signals, we're like grandiose, hold up a sign. But when a woman signals, like she drops her handkerchief, like that old school thing. It's like the only way a woman could initiate something is like she were to drop her handkerchief by a dude who she liked, and if he didn't pick it up and hand it back to her, it's time to move on. But like dudes, we're like, "Hey girl, I'm feeling you." What was this thing with promposals that came up? Promposals. People spending like, I heard dudes were spending like hundreds of thousands of dollars, and girls too. I heard people were spending big cash and pulling out all the stops just to ask somebody to the prom. Subtlety. It can be your best friend or your worst enemy. Let's see. Understandable. Hope says, understandable. What are your thoughts on women paying for a date? I'm older and believe men should always pay, unless it's a special occasion like a birthday. I think that should be discussed. You know what I'm saying? Like, me personally, I'm always looking for a girl to take me out. You feel me? So and that don't happen a whole lot, because I like the idea of breaking from tradition in certain aspects of these roles. And again, I'm like, I don't want to be whining and dining, because that's kind of like trying to lock something down, like you owe me now, and I ain't with that. But I'm also kind of traditional, so if it's my girl, like if you my girl, I'm gonna pay. I may not pay all the time, but if I got it and I can, we gonna do it. If you invite me to dinner, maybe that's on you. If I invite you, I'm fully willing to pay for it. Or we can go Dutch, because I like the idea of going Dutch. Because like I said before, I'm a cheap bastard. I'm so cheap, it's not even funny. And shoot, one time this chick told me, she's like, man, you don't ever come out your pocket. That's why you single. I was like, no. I'm single because I choose to be. But she was really implying that I was single because I was cheap. She was like, you need to pay, you need to spend on a bitch. I was like, nah, dog. You need to spend on your nigga. You feel me? You need to give me some cash. You need to pay for my meal. Like, that's funny. Like, I think that's funny. Because it's not like, I'm very much against certain types of ideology when it comes to rigid gender roles. Like paying for meals. The woman shouldn't always clean. Like, people should do what they want to do when they want to do it. But at the same time, if these are your views, I think people should find people who are compatible with the way they do things. Because, like I was talking about marriage earlier. Marriage is there was a guy saying that marriage is like, it's not mutually beneficial because it's marriage is purely economical. Is what he said. It's kind of utilitarian. And like, it's been steeped in all this tradition and all these ideals, but ultimately most of the time after people get married, their relationships kind of sour. And I've always ouch, no Dutch. Oh, and thank you for the compliment, Hope. I appreciate you telling me I'm a good man. I try. But that's the whole thing. Like, that's why I'm going to talk to this dude next week about virtue. There's he's talking about there's a whole new study, and this guy's a philosopher. And we've talked, and he's actually dealt with the whole PUA front in a more direct way than I have. Like, my only experience with PUA is running into like a couple of dudes. Like, we weren't in a lair, but I've run into a couple of dudes who know what it is. A couple put me on, and I've tried to follow through, but some of this stuff doesn't set well with me just because of how I am. It's like they give you a meal that's mostly filler. It's like you can't nourish yourself on cakes and pies. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can eat a bunch, and they can make you feel like you're filled up, but you're gonna be lacking energy and you're gonna be lacking nutrition. So it's kind of like that, I think. But there's something I'm looking for in it. There's something that I'm looking for to complete it, and I think I'm finding my way to it. And for me, it's been the whole radical honesty thing. Like, I'm working hard to be more honest than I've ever been about things. And I want to be able to be so honest that people already know what I'm about when I show up. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, that's the guy, right? So I mean, I'm feeling that. I'm just trying to be the best person I can be ultimately. And if that means I gotta help people, I'm all about doing that. I'm trying to help everybody I can, man. I want to be the dude who people are like, at the end of my life, they were like, he was a good dude. He helped me change my life. That's all I want. Like, for real. And ladies too. I just want them to be like, he was the cool dude that helped me get through this and that, like periods of life, breakups and I don't know, man. I think I'm getting kind of a little tired. But I'm gonna tell you what, I've enjoyed talking to you guys about this because this is very close to me, and I want to talk more about it. But I want to be able to get you guys to send me some questions, ask me stuff, because if this thing takes off the way I want it to, we're gonna have all kinds of guests, and we may really be able to help some people out, because I want people to be happy, because when other people are happy, that makes me happy, when they're truly happy, not when they're projecting this air of happiness like, oh, I got it all together, but you're like, you're doing drugs, you're cheating on your spouse, you're like, hanging out, gallivanting with people who don't have your best interest in mind. You're doing things that are ultimately self-destructive, but you put on this air like you got it together. Like, don't do that to yourself. Don't do that to your friends and family. I don't want to see anybody else who I love take their own life. I don't want to see anybody else that I love lose their life in a place where they're put into a precarious situation or their family's put into a precarious situation. I don't want to see any more of that. I want to see people being able to be who they really are, and really I just want to see people be in a peaceful way. Not like this Charlottesville jazz. Not like every day on the internet is Godwin's Law. The Nazis have come to roost. I'm tired of that, man. I just want to eat. I just want to fuck. I just want to, be happy. Maybe smoke a doobie. I don't know. I don't smoke anymore. Drink some water. Eat some kale. Have a green shake. I love those green drinks. Those things are the bomb. So that being said, you can reach me at 2helixmedia@gmail.com. Tune in to the Erraticast. We've also got Hard Erratica, HARDERRATIC @gmail.com. Go on, like us on Facebook. Like us on Twitter. Find us on Instagram. Look at our pictures. Like those. Send me your links. Send me stuff that you want me to talk about on the show. Tell me what's up. We got a whole lot of time. We got a whole lot of effort. I'm all about this, and I'm all about you. Next week I'm gonna tell you the story about the girl who I told was I just like tall girls. I'm just gonna leave it at that. Tall girls are the bomb, but there are also a couple like shorties that I'm into too. So it's crazy. I was arguing with my buddy. Shout out to Darren Brown, funk soul jazz house mystic on Facebook. He's gonna be coming out with a book, but he was giving me a hard time because I told him I was polyamorous. But he's like, "You're not polyamorous, man." And I think he might be right. But in the meantime, I love all the girls, man. Thanks, Hope. You're pretty funny too. Hey, you're giving me the fuel, man. I appreciate you asking me questions, keeping me on track. That was fantastic. So basically, I've talked for an hour. This is just like an hour show. It's 10:30. I need to roll up so I can roll up. No, I'm just kidding. I don't smoke, but I do need to pack this joint up so I can get out of the Motte's hair. Shout out to Motte Sons. Come out here. They're on the street behind the Marriott. You come check them out. They got all the good booze. They make it all in-house, so you're getting a quality product. They also sell some things from the Pickle Ladies. They got pimento cheese. They got spicy pickles. They got some candies and some fruits. They even got like some cool stuff like a pair of binoculars that disguises a flask, so you can get your drink on while you bird watching. You feel me? So other than that, I think that's about the show. Go to fakedepth.com because I'm gonna be selling some stuff there. Fake Depth Inc. on Facebook. Hard Erratica. Sberg, not Sberg. Let's see. Oh, and I got this joint called Mr. Toilet. It's Mr. Turlet, and that's where this show is going to be going first because this show is about pickup advice. That's about talking to women. That's about like trying to get laid. I'm terrible at the last part, but I'm definitely pretty good at opening people who don't want to be opened. So anyway, I'm out. Go like us. Go like Hard Erratica on Facebook. Go like the Erraticast. That's our page. Go just go like everything. Go like us on Twitter. Go like us on Instagram. We'll be waiting for you. I'm going to make some content just for you because you're my best one. Oh, let me tell you this story real quick. So I ran into a girl. Like, I went to her work. Not necessarily to see her, but it's always a nice treat to be able to see anybody that I care about. And, I gave her a big hug. And, like, you meet that person that you just can't keep your hands off of them. Like, I keep it respectful. Don't get the wrong idea. But, I gave her a big hug. I'm like, man, I missed you so much. And she's like, I missed you more. I was like, I looked at her. I was like, oh, you make me feel so special. And then I look at her again. I'm like, but I could never live up to that. I've been reeling about that since. But I love that girl to death. She's such a sweetheart. But so for that nightcap story, I think I might end with a nightcap of some ice cold agua. I'm just kidding. This water is piss warm. I will see you guys. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next week. Peace.